Christy from Bridge to Success, and I have a very special guest on with me today, Glenn Radcliffe from Hollywood. Glenn, how are you this morning?
I'm fine, Christy, and it's nice to meet you too.
Mm, We're pleasure to have you on our podcast this morning. And we are going to be going over Glenn is spearheading the tested movement, and he's going to tell our audience all about it. Um, Glenn, you want to tell the audience a little bit about yourself and where you're at right now? Where do you see this movement going? Go ahead. I'm going to let you have the floor.
Well, thank you for that. The movement is very close to my heart because it started about, I would say, 30 years ago. I was in a death experience. I was driving to rehearsal in Hollywood. I was hit by a car. And the upshot of that is that my neck snapped back and forth and my soul came out of my body and went into the quantum field, transcended time and space. But the strangest thing happened was I could actually see myself. So then that was where the enlightenment began because I knew I wasn't that body. I knew it was the soul. And in that quantum field, it was bliss, complete bliss. So that's the heavenly realm. So what happened is I had awareness. I came back into my body and I knew here it was a false world. That was my first understanding. This set me off on a path to 30 years of study in Tibet, India, China, to figure out just exactly what happened here. What was all that about? So then I finally came to the realization that everyone is connected. We're all one. And reading the biblical teachings again, I saw a deeper perspective of what Jesus was trying to tell us. And I feel very, very obligated to share that information. My saying is to know you're being tested is to know you can be free. Because the way this third dimension is constructed, first of all, three dimensions are an illusion. Time is not linear, it's fourth dimensional. Life begins death, death begins life. It's a cyclical nature where the universe feeds off itself. It's everything that's made has to be unmade to be remade. So it's a self-perpetuating, ever-expanding universe. So knowing that, there's certain people also that know that. Illuminati, Skull and Crossbones, there's various societies that have set up a system, a matrix, if you like, that the average human participates in unknowingly, like wearing a virtual headset. If I say, look, east is over here, and I put a blinder on you and I turn you west, you don't know the difference. So consequently, what's happening here is human beings don't know the difference. They're being stimulated by fear. And this fear initiates the flight or fight mechanism, which is a survival modality. So if you're in survival all the time, you're short-circuiting your connection to God, which is your creative intuition, which is founded on love, sharing, beauty, trust, all those higher values that the great masters have told us about, but we've lost that. So the tested movie, first of all, it represents, I would say it's like Rocky for the soul. It represents in time and space the book of Revelation in real time, because we're actually going through it now in real time. So in order to wake up, you have to have a mirror image of what you're going through, because your mind will confuse you through fear. So the tested movie is a very, very entertaining story, but it has archetypes of all the human beings and how they react. So in time and space, you will indeed see yourself in this, which will initiate your catharsis. And as Einstein said, when you're exposed to truth, you can't go back, because it's better now. The collective consciousness, unfortunately, doesn't know better. They're very confused, with what's going on. So the tested movement is to give people back their dignity, is to give people back an understanding of who they really are, and to empower them and realize that there is a corrupt system in place that's actually raping them financially, spiritually, the food you eat, all that stuff. Big pharma giving out the drugs like candy. People are unaware of that. They just accept it. It's almost like, mediocrity is self-bestowed and genius is inherent. We're all potentially great people. We all deserve love. We all deserve respect. But this system is turned as against each other, creating a subject-object consciousness rather than a unity. So one of the things the Tested movement is about is to create a unification for mankind. And one of the sayings he has, when you're born, you don't get a birth certificate, you get a slave certificate. You cannot get out of a trap if you don't know you're in a trap. So the Tested movie and movement is to promote well-being, love, sharing, unity, and create a heaven on earth.
It's a great movement. I know myself, I'm on board with you. I can totally relate to what you're speaking about, and our audience can as well. Where can our audience get involved in this testimony? Where can they go to find out more information?
The Tested movie, we have two websites, Tested the Movie and Tested the Movement. If you go to those two websites, you'll get some more information. You can also email me personally at glennratcliffe@icloud.com with any questions. It's all about sharing, folks. It's all about, if I find a pearl and I give it to someone, they pass it on and pass it on. Everyone has the pearl. Everyone has the wisdom. So I would advocate strongly looking at these websites or emailing me for more information, and really taking a step back and becoming the witness to your behavior. The system will corrupt you because it will make you react. You're going to react because of fear. The pandemic, the homelessness, all the news, the media, all this is going to stimulate fear. So I'm saying step back from that and know that's an illusion. There's no fear. Fear is something they're putting on you to control you.
That's correct. And it does say in the Bible 365 times, do not be afraid, right?
That's exactly right. And you cannot be afraid. And that's why all these spiritual masters came down, because they're spiritual warriors and they're trying to empower people. And the Tested movie and movement is to empower you, is to give you your sense of self-respect, your dignity, to know that you're special. Every single human being on this planet is special, but we've been put in a system where there's a hierarchy, where some are better than the others. That's an illusion, because by your birthright, God is within your heart, every one of you. So you need to claim that, and you need to walk with dignity, power, and know that you're special.
And I think a lot of times people get caught up in their everyday busy lives, and really it's a lot of meditation and prayer that you are able to know yourself more once you do that deep work, right?
That's exactly right. I was very fortunate, I say, as my death experience, because my karma, or whatever you call it, got sped up significantly, where I saw the truth. But still, it took 30 years of self-reflection, meditation, realizing everything that had happened in my life from the moment of entry in my mother's womb, because I did recapitulation for that, was created by me.
Right.
And you have to take responsibility for everything that you've done. You go back in your childhood and you reprogram, you see, okay, I caused this, I caused that. And that's, by taking responsibility, that's where you get empowerment. So that's the first thing, to be empowered, but also to know you have a choice. You can put your money under the mattress, you can put it in the bank. The bank will give it to special interest groups that will pay the farmers off to put poison in the food, which will make you sick, and Big Pharma will give you a drug, and that will damage your liver. Massive human genocide. It's a system that's been put in place. So my intention is
sad, but it's true. You are so correct. It's really sad that the world has come to this. but you are absolutely correct.
Yes, that's what's going on. It's very unfortunate. However, I know we can win this quite simply because there's 99% of us and 1% of them. So we have the upper hand. It's just through education. People have a stigma. They're crystallized in fear. If you look at the Wright brothers, people said, "Oh, you can never fly. You're crazy." Well, wait a minute. We're flying now.
And we're flying to the moon even now. So yeah, you were wrong.
Right. You were wrong. So I want you to take this image for a minute. You plant a seed, say it's a rose, put it in the ground, it's going to evolve a stem, a bud, and gradually evolve into the rosehood, the God consciousness of that rose. So we are in a process of evolution or de-evolution. The universe doesn't stay still. You're either evolving more toward God or you're de-evolving because God is a bandwidth of energies. For example, on the planet, we have the mineral kingdom beget by the vegetable kingdom, beget by the animal kingdom, beget by the human kingdom, beget by the spiritual kingdom. These are hierarchies. That's why I promote veganism, not eating animals, because it's going to de-evolve you if you understand the nature of vibration. It's like ice, water, and steam. Ice is solid. Add water to add heat to it, becomes water. Water, you add heat to it, becomes steam. It's an alchemic process, similar to lead into gold or ego into soul. You transmute yourself into the higher self, the Christ consciousness of awareness. And that's what this movement's about. It's to let everyone know you're evolving or de-evolving. You have a choice. So the first thing is to own your power and make that choice towards evolution. And this comes by giving love, by sharing, by knowing you have a choice, by self-love. You must love yourself before you can truly love another.
That's correct. That's correct. And be completely healed on the inside, right?
Yes.
So what do you think is holding you back from getting this tested movie out to the public at this time?
Well, it's not so much holding back. It's like the blade of grass will gradually shoot through the concrete to get to the sun, because this is not some Mickey Mouse movie we're making. This is a movement of global proportions. So there's a higher expectation to change billions of people, to let them understand God's in their heart and they have a choice. It's a large undertaking. So there will be people who will be skeptical. There'll be religions that are with blinkers on. One of the things the guy's doing in the movie is a unification summit. God's in everyone. Religion's supposed to be a mediator between man and God and the cosmos. Wars are fought over religions. So for me to say everyone is one and God's in your heart, and this you're a talking animal in a floating zoo, some people might resist that. But in order to heal, you need to know the truth. You've been sold a bill of goods. You're in a system that's controlling you and manipulating you and raping your soul daily. A lot of people are desensitized to that. They don't realize that. So part of the job here is spreading the word to the regular people, almost like a politician going on campaign trails. And
you're right.
And, yeah, I want to explain the truth to you because you're special. So that's the issue we're facing. It's not a big issue, but to reach 1 billion people, I need more podcasts, more advertising. I need to get this word out to religious leaders, angel investors, people who want to leave the world better. There is no higher calling than to serve another and leave the world better than you found it. There's nothing greater to achieve than that.
It's a legacy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I agree with you. I absolutely agree. Let me ask you another question. So if this podcast sort some of that out for you, what would that look like for you? And what would you like to gain from doing these podcasts? We kind of covered it a little bit, but if you could be a little more specific on what's your ultimate goal? What's the end game?
Well, we'll start at the beginning before we get thin. Initially, we need to create a paradigm shift. We need to create critical mass because it's been proven. Physicists will tell you this that it's a thought wave universe. Example, in Washington about 20 years ago, they summoned everyone to meditate at one given time. I think it was like 10 p.m. Everyone was meditating. The crime rate dropped 30% that one day because people who were in the middle, maybe I'm going to take something from 7-Eleven, they got a thought. Let's be peaceful. Let's be living. Let's not do that. So we know that thoughts are things, and that this is very, very real. So you've got to look at it from the perspective, number one, from the children. They're in like a virtual reality. We've screwed the planet up for them. So the children, I'm advocating taking the kids out of school and putting them into homeschooling. You know, for some of them, for the parents who are very involved, because cause will supersede effect. We have to cause a new heaven on earth, and that has to be done through a tipping point, through a paradigm shift, through giving people wisdom. So the podcast would be like a spark to a fire. Boom! This podcast goes to the next podcast, goes to the next podcast. It's like pass this on to 3 people type of thing.
Absolutely. Please share this this podcast, audience, because we're really trying to do what's best for the kingdom and what's best for the world right now, and to educate you on what is going on behind the scenes, since all we get is fake news media and they're not telling us the truth.
Well, in order to succeed here, for example, I'll give you one of the accesses of evil. They say, hey, get a credit card, get in debt. You're already in debt. So you need to build your credit by paying high interest fees to get a credit card to have good credit. So these are manipulative tactics to control you. You know, for example, one of my podcasts I talked about buying a car. You buy a new car, it's top heavy on the interest. You drive it around the block, you've lost value. So if you buy a car for 20 grand, you drive it around the block, it's worth 18, and with the interest payments, you're paying 30. Correct. So this is really legal stealing. The financial industries are stealing from you with interest. Interest, no such thing as interest. That's made up by the system to put you into fear. And it's almost like going back to the days of the pyramids. You have the pharaoh sitting like a king, and all the rest of us are lifting the stones. Well, all the rest of us are lifting the stones because the 1% have manipulated us. You know, the special interest groups, pharmaceutical companies, financial institutions, captains of industry, religious leaders, government officials. It's really a cesspool of evil, to be honest with you.
It is.
And
the teachers, what they're teaching our kids as well, right? That's another form of deception.
Yes, I can elaborate on that. When you go to school, you're giving a test, right? That's the movie Test It. You're given a test. However, the answers are wrong. So you're sitting in school and you're told what to think rather than how to think. So when you go into the school system, you're already programmed as a talking animal. You're already done and dusted because they've got hold of you. I can give you an example. My daughter, she was a special needs kid, and she got 2 report cards, one from Sacramento saying, oh, she's an A-list student. Great. That was in order to secure the blue ribbon recommendation, which means you get funding if it's a blue ribbon school. But the teacher was saying, hey, your daughter's failing here. She's getting D's and E's. So I was getting 2 report cards, one to manipulate the system and one for my daughter. And who suffers? The children. You know, they're just pawns in a game of chess. So right. This evil has to be rooted out at a very deep level, even from the school systems, the hospitals. I did another podcast about my father, who was actually murdered in a care home. He pulled a catheter out and he bled to death while the charge nurse was playing snooker downstairs. So the old people are suffering because insurance is running out. As long as you pay your insurance bill, hey, we'll look after you. We'll give you some drugs that runs out. Sorry, off to the morgue you go. So it's again a human genocide. And the problem is so many people are stimulated by fear. They can't see the truth because they're working on survival. But if they just step back through prayer, meditation, understanding, they'll start to realize that, number one, you're being manipulated. That's the whole thing for the podcast. The first realization is, wait a minute here. What just happened? I didn't sign up for this. God is in my heart. I'm a decent human being. Why am I so distressed and stressed and worried about this, worried about that? It's because if you're worried, your awareness is on survival opposed to love and sharing. So you create a hell instead of a heaven. You create a false world. Because how it works is your thought patterns and behavior eventually become your character, and your character becomes your perception of reality. So your perception of reality is false, and you're trapped in a false world of your own making. And Correct. So you have to break that. Like Christ on the cross, he was, in order for the virgin birth, the symbolism is he's resurrected. You can be resurrected. Enter the kingdom of heaven, be a little child, which is innocence and purity. So the tested movement is to get people back to understanding that innocence and purity is still there, and to take their awareness of the problem and to self-reflection. And the macrocosm reflects the microcosm. So consequently, once you become awake, you can see things differently. And if you're full of love and energy and beauty, that's going to transmit to others, and we'll have an elevation of consciousness.
I agree with you wholeheartedly. One thing that really is disturbing to me is Big Pharma. This is one way we're being desensitized. Big Pharma will put on a commercial, take this for such and such disease, right? And then at the end, you have a 5-minute spiel on how it's going to kill you, but go ahead, by all means, go ahead and put it in your body and let's take this. So I see it, I myself see this happening, and that's what intrigued me so much when we have our conversations, is it honestly is going on everywhere you look. Even the Black Lives Movement and the spiritual warfare that is involved in this, the Black Lives Movement against the white people, the Democrats against the Republican, the pharmaceutical companies, the teachers. There is so much going on in this world that I feel we need to educate the population on, because they're being steered down a path that they probably shouldn't go on, if that makes sense.
It makes perfect sense. And how the devil works is divide and conquer. When I was in the
steal, kill, and destroy is what they come to do, right?
More or less because of fear. The quantum field, when I was there, when I was pure light, it's all connected, like a spider's web. Everyone's connected. Now you come down here, you see the illusion, a dichotomy. People see things in duality. In order to see love, there's hate. Beauty, there's ugliness. Up, down, light, darkness, expansion, contraction. It's a juxtaposed opposite planet, because of the sensorial equipment we have is limited, because we have eyes that can't see an X-ray, can't see an ultrasonic wave, but exists. So consequently, one of the lessons is what you see is not real. You have to understand that what you hear is not real.
Fear is false evidence appearing real, right?
That's right. And the dichotomy is what's causing all this. Like you said, the opposites. Like if you look at the word woman, it's woo man. It's one. It's not two. It's woo man. It's one. So the problem with this planet is the conscious level of individual very low. We have subject and object rather than unity. We have black and white.
And we're all one, like you said, right?
We're all one. So that's the illusion, is we're separated. See, that's the illusion. But we're not separated. We're all one. So if you can have that, and it's like the sun, for example, the clouds might cover it, but the sun is still there. So God is still in your heart, even though you're worried about the bills, worried about the drugs you're taking. You're aware thought will follow energy. Energy will follow thought, rather. So this energy following the thought creates your reality because thoughts are things. So consequently, what you've got to do is step back. Don't be the thought, be the awareness behind it. Almost like the seamless garment of Christ. You're in the world, but you're not of it. Because you see the cosmic play of karma that's going on. So you step back and you be the silent witness, the witness in your heart, and go, okay, I don't need to put my money in the bank. I don't need to vote that way. I don't need to listen to that politician. I don't need to take these drugs. I have a choice.
That's correct. And more people need to know. I think I saw this a lot with the mask and the COVID thing. Everybody ran to get COVID shots, right? Well, we've had the flu around forever. And if you look it up on Wikipedia, COVID is the flu. But the fear that the government put in front of these people to make them run and get the shot, opposed to going to the word. And like you said, you know, we live in this world, but we're not of this world. Go to the Bible and get your answers, opposed to going to the government and listening what they're saying, right? We need to awaken to that, if you will, and get our own answers, opposed to following blindly what the government says, because their intentions are not good.
That's obvious too, yeah. And going back to Cain slaying Abel, you always have that dichotomy. I look at the genocide in Iraq, all these weapons of mass destruction. We're getting signals. We're on orange alert, which means Iraq is going to attack us. All this was to do with oil and Saudi Arabia. So we can be manipulated by what we read, what we hear, even the products that are advertised, like you said about the big pharma. It'll kill you, but take it anyway. But it's the same with food. You eat meat, cows are being slaughtered inhumanely, and pigs and chickens are being butchered so that you can eat some food at your table. That's not right, because they're living things, they're sentinel beings. That's not right. However, the system will make you think that's right through advertising campaigns, through subliminal media hypnotism, through controlling you, through creating an algorithm of your social media and internet and emails to see what products you like, how do you think, and then to infiltrate your subconscious and manipulate you. So basically, we're in a state of hell, and that we have to wake up or we're going under. The greenhouse effect is getting hotter and hotter and hotter. We run out of sand. The icebergs are melting. The animals are dying. The pandemic, big pharma, all this, you have to wake up. You have to say, whoa, I'm in hell here. I better get out. I want to create heaven. And heaven is made of love, sharing, giving, happiness, joy, creativity, all the things you are that's been taken from you. So this is an urgent wake-up call. Please, folks, wake up.
Time is of the essence, isn't it, Glenn? Yeah. Time is of the essence right
now. Absolutely, yeah. Right now, with the greenhouse effect, but that's just one. The captains of industry, they'll give you that spray at a good price and advertise it, and then each spray is destroying the ozone layer. Hello? We're involved there. You're eating meat, you're killing animals, you're completely deluded to the truth. You're wrapped in a false world of your own weaving by the stimuli of the system that's raping you on a daily basis in all areas of your life.
That is correct. That is, and it's a shame, but I'm challenging everyone in our audience to look into this, do your research. This movement speaks for itself. We really need some folks to get on board and heal and see what the government, with their own eyes, take your blinders off and see what they're doing to us to desensitize us to their agenda.
And that's why it's called Tested, because the simple truth is To know you're being tested, to know you're being tested is to know you can be free. Because all this stuff that's going on, you go, well, wait a minute, this is not a conclusive reality. This is not the ultimatum. This is a test for my evolution. I'm going to step back. I'm not going to put my money in the bank. I'm going to vote for that, take that shot, take this shot. Wait a minute here. So that's what it's a test rather than a law. The government, the system put laws in place. They're not laws, they're tests that you can pass and overcome. So you have to reframe your reality to know,
Yes.
I'm tested and I can pass this test. This, it may hurt me for a while. I might have to change my thoughts, my actions, and that may take 30, 40 days of new habits, which it does. But you have to do that. You have to separate yourself. You're in a mess. You're tangled up like this, a web. You're wrapped up. So the tested movement is bit by bit, financially, spiritually, eating the right foods, understanding what the media is doing. It gradually sets you free.
And they are burdens that we carry. There are burdens that we carry because we are being told what they want us to hear, not and those that are blind are just going into it saying, yeah, I believe. I challenge everyone in our audience to dig deep, do your research. This is a great movement, and we really are asking that you share this. We hope that you get a seed planted in your brain where you do more research on Glenn's project. What he's doing could really change a lot of people in the way they're thinking. You have to be on board and willing to change and not to take what we're being told to heart and do your own research, right?
That's exactly right. And be cognizant of social media. Like I posted one time, Facebook is part of this system. So all these posts go in an algorithm, go to the government and get kind of put in a compartment, as you will. So if you want to post something, you post it what they want to hear because they're telling you what you want to hear to manipulate.
That's the censorship part, right?
Yeah. So you have to, what you do is if you and I are communicating, we have to say, have a personal conversation. We post something in Facebook, it's put into like an algorithm of for the government, because Facebook and all these social media sites, they're open windows into our soul to manipulate us. So you have to protect yourself from that. You can know it. You go, okay, I'm going to be manipulated. I'm going to have a dozen emails on this, this, and this, or I'm going to get these strange people want to be my friends for some reason. So you just laugh at that. The devil is nothing. He's a big, big illusion. The devil's head's getting lopped off. It's gone. It's done and dusted. Light is returning to the planet. We just need to be cognizant of it and do the actions, the thoughts, and the behaviors of enlightened people, because that the macrocosm will reflect the microcosm. I think it was Gandhi that said, you have to become the change that you want to see in the world. So it's an individual project. Then it creates a community. Then it creates a global change.
Yes, 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 yes. Another thing that I want to bring to our audience's attention, my pastor, Pastor Nicole and David Crank, they're wonderful and very spirit-filled. Faithchurch.com, by the way. But Pastor David always says, show me your friends and I'll show you your future. So, the people that you hang around, they either bring positivity into your life and challenge you to look at what's going on around you and in the world, or you can just lie dormant and follow the others down the road, right? So, audience, I'm asking you to be cognizant of the friends you hang around and the negativity and the positivity that you choose to bring in your life is detrimental to our world, right?
Yeah, exactly. It goes back to what's called codependency in the childhood. If you have a bad relationship with your mother or your father, you take that with you and you attract to you the vibrational equivalent of the trauma that's not been released. The reason you do that is because you need to learn the lesson to transcend it. But if you're sleeping like the Walking Dead, which we have right now, and you don't do the recapitulation, you don't do the work to go back, you'll surround yourself by negative energy, which will be a self-fulfilling prophecy because you think you're a victim. And
Right.
that's the trap. So we have to go back. And the reason you're projected, because life's continuous, is that was lessons learned. So if you don't learn the lessons, you can be stuck in this third dimensional reality forever. You know.
You're right. You're right. It's like a cycle, right? You just keep on getting on the hamster wheel until you learn that lesson, and then you can go to the next level.
Right. Remember the slaves in the South? Well, they didn't want to give up the slaves. The 1%, we are slaves to them because we're paying all the taxes. We're taking all the drugs. We're just like fodder for usage, while the 1% trundle off around the world, do what they want, have this, have that, and all the rest of us are suffering. That's not right, because every one of us has Christ in our heart. So there's a lie here. There's a deception that the devil has put upon us by a few people with power, religious, government, banking, financial institutions, that type of thing, who control us. And if you look at every person is equal, it doesn't matter if you're a janitor or the president, in your heart is God. So just you don't distinguish classes. But the problem is if you're of a lower class and you get bombarded by it, you think that's the case. I'll give you an example. There's this fly they put in a jar, it could jump 12 feet. So what they did is they put the lid on the jar, which was 6 feet, and it kept drying, hitting its head. It couldn't get beyond it. They took the lid off. The fly could only jump 6 because it had been conditioned by the lid to prevent it jumping all the way. So it now had limitation. Same with an elephant. A large elephant died. It was burned to death in a circus recently, and they did a story about why it didn't escape it. Because when the elephant's very young, they tie it down with a stick when it's just a few months old, and it can't get away. So when the elephant gets big, they tie it to the stick, and in its mind, it can't get away. So that's
he's been conditioned to that.
Conditioned. So we've been conditioned to live in mediocrity, to take drugs, to eat meat, to pay large interest and not complain. But we're really raping our soul. You go, wait a minute, you're stealing from me. You're manipulating me. You're lying to me. I'm not going to take it anymore. I see through you. I know what you're doing. Right. So this is a wake-up call for people to be spiritual warriors, hear the trumpet of Christ and step forth and be proud. Be proud that God is in your heart and you're a warrior. It's your time now. It's your time.
It is. I completely agree with you. And my wish for the world is that they dig into the word more than the world, you know?
It's funny. You say that. I say, don't Google it, God it. Because God has all the wisdom. Google's a manipulation run by big Bill Gates, is running all the Wikipedia and that's all manipulative. But God it, the truth is the truth is the truth. I am who I am is the truth. This Google it is a manipulation to basically hear what you want to hear.
Right.
You know? So
and whatever you put in your body, whether it's something you hear on the radio, whether it's something you see on TV, you know, if you put poison in your system, it will slowly kill you. So I try to be aware of what I listen to, what I put in my body, if you will, not the poison, but to be spiritually led with God and put the good stuff, the high vibing stuff that is not poison in your system, and be aware of your surroundings, right?
That's exactly right. It's like gasoline. You know, you want to put regular unleaded. It goes to the food you eat. You can eat fruits and vegetables, or you can slaughter a cow and eat meat. It's your choice. One's going to kill you. One's going to elevate your consciousness. So it depends how much you've been influenced. So, for example, media will influence you to have a certain perception of reality. They're going to influence you. So what happens is thoughts are things like magnets. So you're going to attract what they want you to attract. So you have to surround yourself, like, you know, Christ with the disciples. You know, you have to surround yourself by like-minded people. And the voice in your head, that's not you. You let things in. What is it? It's like an absorption, like a sponge. It takes in information, and it's a tape recorder, keeps looping and looping. Before long, you believe you're the voice in the head. The voice in the head's not real. It's all memories. We've created a story to validate our existence as an ego structure, but we're more than an ego structure. We're Christ beings. So that voice in your head is not real. The voice in your heart is real. So you need to reframe that, listen to your heart, come from the heart. One of the things I do is I put eyes in my heart, ears in my heart. So I'm coming from love always, not that voice in the head. Because the voice in the head is what the media want to tell you, and they'll control you. That's why people are dying at 70, 80 years old, where they should be living to hundreds of years. You know?
Yes. You are absolutely right. You are absolutely right. How, so let's kind of drill down to, we want people on board with us. If this resonates with our audience, again, how can they join us on this movement? By sharing clearly, this podcast would be very beneficial to your friends and family. Planting the seed, but what else can they do, Glenn?
Well, obviously sharing, but I'd advocate that they take self-reflection, because this is not a reactive process. This is a process of self-understanding. And so the podcast, if you're listening out there, take a few minutes before you share this, or take a while, just listen to your heart. Is there a pandemic? Is there homelessness? Is there a problem in the world? Okay, if there is, you know about it. So there's two types of people. There's people who know about it and do nothing. I call them cowards. They're, oh yeah, right, Glenn, yeah, this is right, but they're doing nothing. They're part of the problem. They're just as bad.
Enabling.
Enabling. They're saying, yeah, it's okay. You know, I'll listen to the media. I'll eat the meat. I'll take the drugs. Yeah, but you're right, Glenn. Those people are deluded. Those are the people that these people are the people that can help us, because they need to have courage, because there's something that's crystallized around them, fear, and go, Glenn's right, but I'm going to accept the rape of my soul every day, but Glenn is right. So it sounds absurd, but that's the problem. So who's ever listened to this podcast, please, number one, share it to everyone you know. Yes. Number two, take time on reflection. Start loving yourself. Start being aware of what's going on outside of you. What is the media telling you? What is your interest rates? What food are you eating? What's really going on here? Is this a state of heaven that Christ talked about? Or is this hell? Are you in survival, or are you loving and enjoying and being creative and sharing with your friends and family and having a great time? Or are you scared?
Right.
You have to.
And people need to discern that, don't you think?
Yes.
They need to discern. I always take everything back to God, whatever I do, because you get so much information in your head and your body throughout the day. Sometimes your thoughts get discombobulated, and you need to discern what is coming from God and what is coming from the left side. You know, what are we hearing from them? And if you truly go inside and do that, you will hear the answers. Your intuition, a lot of times, is God telling you which path to take. People are just not aware, or their eyes are not open enough, right?
How it works, the human being is being conditioned through what's called habits. So most people wake up the day, they'll check their cell phone, they'll check their emails, they'll think about the past, think about the future. Well, that's an illusion. When Christ was on the cross, the thief in the left represented the past, the thief in the right, the future, robbing you of the moment of now. So most people have so ingrained with these habits that they've structured a habit pattern of mediocrity, and they'll go through their day thinking the same thoughts that they thought yesterday. And so there's no fresh input. And it's like, well, how am I going to survive? Oh my goodness, the pandemic, the this, the that, I've got to pay the bills. And it's like a loop. And before, that's what Christ said, the living dead. You're alive, but you're dead because your head is full of these thoughts. That's old, like a tape recorder, looping over and over. So
You're absolutely right.
you must lob the head off your own head. I think there's a Zen principle of the headless man, which means you have no head, you've just got a heart. So
Right.
again, it's going back to the heart center, saying, okay, I'm connected to everyone. Love is love, truth is truth. Oh, okay, that's a lie. I know that. I don't need to participate in that. And if we draw the power source from the financing, the big pharma, they'll go under because they're not getting fed money, they're not getting fed attention. It's like
Right.
a flower. If you don't water it, it'll die. So why are we watering big pharma? Why are we giving
Right.
them money and power?
Absolutely.
The meat industry. Why are we doing that? Why are we, going to the religions faculties and passing the hat around and nothing's happening? Why? Because we're conditioned that way, and it's becoming aware. You need to change every day your thoughts and actions to a new reality, and know
That's
that
right.
God is in your heart, and you can have abundance, you can have everything, and you don't need to participate in this evil illusion that the system has put on you.
I absolutely agree with you. You are making so much sense, and I hope that we're getting through to our audience as well. Okay, if let me see. I think that I've covered all the questions. What else can we go over, Glenn, that would be beneficial to our audience?
Again, I'm going back to the self love. Who's ever listening out there, please, please, please just love yourself. This
Starts with
podcast,
that.
yeah, it's to advocate love. Because if you love yourself, you're in a position of power over yourself. To master yourself is the greatest achievement. To master others is manipulation, but to master yourself, knowing that this voice in your head is not you, you have a choice, and to step back and then step by step chat to your neighbor, chat to the systems you belong to, the societies, the social media groups, and share this, because the universe is founded on love. That's the building blocks of the universe, love. So cause will always supersede effect. In effect, we have dis-ease, which is lack of harmony. Dis-ease, lack of harmony. So we're in a fragmented system here, where it should be a whole system. So who's ever out there, please know that you have a choice. You can choose where you put your energy, where you put your money, where you put your friendship,
Time.
your time. You have a choice. The tested movement is a compassionate movement to give you back your soul, your life, and realize that you're special. But it takes action to create a reaction. You do nothing, you get nothing. You don't plant the seed, then go and get a flower. So this is a call to action. This is not some passive suggestion. Loving yourself is a call to action. You've got to say, well, wait a minute, why don't I love myself? Was it my mom, my dad? Was it a bad relationship? You take responsibility for that. So you say, okay, I'm reprogrammed. I've done all that. Now I love myself. I can love some others, and I can pass this on. Oh, wait a minute, they want me to vote this way. Oh, the interest rate? Well, no, it didn't, because you have a choice now. You start to get your power back. And the more people get their power back and understand they're being manipulated and raped every day, the more we can change. Because if we change thoughts, actions, and behaviors, it creates a new reality. And the universe will change to suit our new concept of love, peace, and harmony.
So we need to get rid of, basically in a nutshell, we need to get rid of the ways that we're told to live and reprogram ourselves on a different level with our eyes open. And we do have the power to make boundaries, to say, no, we're not going to accept this, right? That we're not going to be led astray. We need people to stand in their power more than being directed down a path they probably don't want to go.
Well, that's exactly right. The Pied Piper, he's playing the pipes, they're all following him and going off the cliff. You're
Right.
all dying too early. You're eating poison. You're breathing poison air. You're getting stimuli of fear everywhere. You're trapped in hell. And
That's right.
like I say, you can't get out of a trap if you don't know you're in one. So the tested movement is engineered specifically through entertainment, through wisdom, through lectures to get you out of the trap. And
Right.
that's what we're attempting to do. So this is time is of the essence because it is getting hotter every day. There is more homeless. There is more mass human genocide. That's a fact. We have to put a stop to it now with new actions, new thoughts, new behaviors, new realizations, and taking responsibility and creating heaven on earth.
Absolutely. Absolutely. What a great podcast we had today. Um, is there anything else? Be- I have to tell our audience. So Glenn's being very humble, but Justin Bieber's new Ghost video is out, and you will get an opportunity to see him on that video. He's Justin's grandpa. So when you look at that video, think of this podcast. Mr. Glenn is kind of a big deal in California, and he's spearheading this movement for us, and I cannot thank him enough for speaking out on this. We all need to hear it. We're all on different journeys and levels of our spiritual awakening. And we hope that you will join us on the next podcast. We are going to consistency is key, right? So we're gonna keep chatting about this, and I hope I'm gonna leave this like this, so it's kind of a cliff